we wanted to talk about which games have done post-release content right, and compare that to games such as Battlefront 2 that seem to be struggling to grasp that, and games with loot crates. Let's start with loot crates, because that's kind of what seems to have sparked all this. I don't want to go back as far as like Mass Effect 3 with loot crates, because that's the first one I can remember, which is also EA. I want to go back to Overwatch, which seems to be the one that really sparked the fire recently.
Really did it right.
You could
argue, yeah.
You could argue they're
it's
the ones
just
that
as
it's
bad.
their fault, but I mean they're all aesthetic, whereas Battlefront is actual abilities and whatnot. Obviously, if you haven't played Overwatch, you can get loot crates, which just end up giving you new character skins, sprays, victory poses, emotes. What am I missing? Or just more gold to spend on ones that you definitely want to get. So that's the one silver lining here, of several, I guess. It's not just the one, but you can actually buy specific skins if you have enough gold.
This, makes me always, and this is not really feeding into the argument with any sort of definitive stance, but when you think about like old school RPGs or any games that would reward you for going into battle against, enemies and stuff, you would pray to get that rare item drop from them. They were essentially walking loot crates, but there was like gameplay involved in it, so it didn't feel like this layer, like once removed, just sort of puts you in a different mindset and system. And I think that is probably the biggest issue here, where I think people can look at Overwatch and say, even though it's just cosmetic, yeah, like it's still this randomized thing that you have to put in a lot of time and effort for and pray that you get what you want.
And that's why so many people like Belgium and Hawaii and everyone are saying this should be considered gambling and should
So
not
many
be.
people
Time is money,
like Belgium.
in a way.
Is that what I said? No, sorry. I like Belgium.
But it's not a people.
So many people in places such as Belgium, running governments such as those in gubernatorial roles in Belgium and Hawaii, are saying it should be considered gambling. A lot of people are already saying CD Projekt Red does it really well with Witcher 3. Blood and Wine, specifically, the DLC actually gave you Toussaint, like this whole new region to explore, much like Point Lookout and Fallout 3. If you're talking about New Vegas, like the Lonely Heart stuff, they actually added these new areas, and that was all paid DLC, but you pretty much know what you were getting.
Yeah.
Witcher 3, they gave you another like 50 hours in Blood and Wine if you really want to spend all the time digging into that. People just seem to think CD Projekt in general. I know Witcher 2 had some DLC as well. Like I said, Rainbow Six Siege does it really well, although they introduced loot crates this year for aesthetic options, which I'm kind of bummed about, because it can take. So Renown is the I don't know if it's showing up on the screen right here. No, Renown is your actual currency in the game, and there are Rainbow Six credits, which that's real world money. Those might as well be crystals, and those can be used to buy certain uniforms or headgear or weapon skins for different operators. You might see in the B-roll here, some of these weapons have crazy skins. I don't really. It's like one of the small problems I have with the game. I guess it's kind of big. But I mean, the loot crates work much like we've been having problems with. They're not randomized is the only thing I would say. So it's not loot crates in the sense that you don't know what you're getting. You do know what you're getting, but it still does take a while to grind if you want to get all the renown possible. Because when a new operator group comes out, you can either, if you don't have the season pass, which is like $30 a year, and you get renown bonuses, or there's a few. You get renown bonuses, and you'll have access to the operators like a week early, or you'll have actually, you'll be able to play them before everybody else. It doesn't actually affect the game too much, but again, if you want to actually unlock these operators, they're not available from the get-go. They'll be like 25,000 renown, and that could take like 10 hours to get. So I don't know. I'm worried about this game going forward. If you don't have the season pass, I mean, I guess you could consider that season pass, like you pay $30 for Blood and Wine, the Witcher expansion. Yeah. This season pass could be considered that if you're playing this game a lot. And I don't know. We're getting to the point where like, well, it's all aesthetic, so it's not affecting the game. But like at this point, it's still, this isn't randomized loot crates, but it still does take a while, and it seems like they're encouraging you to pay money for it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think for a game, like a game that you mostly play competitively, like an Overwatch or Rainbow Six, like for me with Overwatch, the whole fun of the loot crates is I have these couple characters that I really like. They're my mains, and I'm striving to get cool skins for them because I like playing them. And that, I don't know, I don't have a problem with that. because personally, I'm not the kind of person who would spend money on that sort of like. There's nothing that like gives me an advantage. It's just like something to work towards. And I think that's a tricky balance to strike. I don't really know where I'm going with this, but I'm not as upset about I'm not like the phrase loot crate or like loot box doesn't automatically bother me because like Peter said, like you're hoping there's plenty of games where you're hoping for a good drop or you're hoping to get something and it's giving you a goal to work towards. It's kind of what a lot of games do.
Yeah, because they have alpha packs in Rainbow Six now. So every time you win a match, you have to specifically, anytime you finish a match, multiplayer or terrorist hunt or whatever, you get an increase in percentage, which can go higher if you have a season pass, but you get an increase in the chance to win a pack at the end of a win. You can only get packs on a win. So you win them, and then you open it, and it's like a rarity. Maybe it'll be a weapon skin. Maybe it'll be a headgear for Castle or for Tachanka. Those are operators, not just random words.
Tachanka.
Tachanka, he's like known as the worst operator of the game. He's got this big turret. People call him Lord Tachanka. I don't like him. But the alpha packs actually, you don't know what you're getting in those. And you can buy those with real world money if you buy Rainbow Six credits first and then spend those on alpha packs, which kind of sucks because I know those weren't always in the game.
But are those things that like I think the difference, I think kind of what I'm getting at is like the difference between something like that where you could spend money if you're like trying to get a specific thing you're looking for versus Battlefront where it seems like everything is driving you to spend money because the alternatives are so shitty. Like with Overwatch, like I don't feel like I don't think spending money on a loot crate is necessarily like the game forcing you to spend money. It's someone being like, I really hope I get a Mercy skin.
Yeah.
But like, it doesn't give you an advantage. There's no reason to spend money on that loot crate other than I want to get this cool cosmetic item because I love this character. Or
and I'm playing this game a lot, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah, and like I want something to work towards because eventually, like if you hit a skill ceiling. Or you only play, you know, kind of casually with a group of friends and not everybody's at the same skill level. It's like, where do you go from there? Well, you can get these kind of like stretch goals, basically, for playing the game. But there's nothing about that screams like we're trying to get you to spend money. It's just kind of like an option if you're really passionate about it versus the alternative is spending 4,000 hours playing a game. Of course, I'm not going to do that because I could work for 4,000 hours driving Lyft and make money and like, fuck it.
Right. Like anytime when you have to wrestle with the idea where you think about it, you know what I mean? Where, like an example, I guess, I mean, so you're saying for Rainbow Six, like to get those operators, you can get them quicker, right? By paying. That's what you were saying?
Yeah, if you have the season pass.
Okay.
And
Yeah. I would say that's
to
not
unlock
great.
any operator, say you were to get into the game that you don't have any unlocked, you would just
Right.
be using the recruit until you unlocked certain specific ones for attack and certain for defend. You would either be able to spend those Rainbow Six credits or the renown, which you earn in game. And it takes a while with the renown in game, not for the base 16 operators or however many there are, but with year 1 and year 2 operators, those all are like 25,000 renown each now, which is a lot. That'll take you like, I think I played a full day Sunday and I might have gotten like 6,500 renown. And then Hey I Am Infinity is telling me you can't spend actual money on the alpha packs. You can only spend renown on the alpha packs. So then anytime you want to actually buy something randomized, that's with in-game currency. So you can't spend real money on
Something
randomized
random.
packs.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's not going to be up for gambling investigation, presumably, right?
Right.
So that's what another reason. Thank you, Hey I Am Infinity. That makes the game not as predatory, I would say.
Yeah.
And it also it's aesthetics, and I still don't love it because there is a randomized element, and it does feel like they may prolong the process to try to get you to shortcut like a free-to-play game might.
What about something like Rocket League, which plays both sides of the discussion, right?
Yeah.
Because you can get gear by playing, and sometimes you'll get a crate, but of course you have to spend money to open that crate. So it kind of sucks because you do get some stuff, but then the game is basically dangling like, I'm not going to give you the free thing, I'm going to give you the thing that's going to cost you $1 to open it. And then when you open it, you get something random, and that kind of sucks.
It does.
But the thing is that you can't do it in the game directly necessarily, but there are plenty of websites that even Psyonix points to for trading items with players, right? Where you actually have the option to give up something you don't want to somebody else for something you do want, right?
And people in chat are sure to let you know that that's an option.
It's trade.
It's like the Eagles from...
Having the trade option is
finding
so
Nemo
helpful. Yes.
Yeah.
Mine was, yes.
Finding Nemo. Well, and Rocket League at least does a couple other things. I think that's I guess you could say tasteful, which is like, I think it's if you get, there's two things. One is if you don't like that system at all, you can turn it off and never see a crate.
Yeah.
And never be reminded and only just be getting, as you said, like naturally these items. Or I think this would be like maybe a tactic with the game is you can turn it off and then I believe check back on it maybe like 10 hours later.
See how many crates you got?
See how many crates you got, and then flip 5. If you flip 5 of the same crate, you get
The higher tier.
whatever higher tiered
Right.
item out of it.
So you can do that with the crates to
Yeah,
upgrade your crate itself?
No, you can turn in crates, 5 crates of the same type,
That's
and
what I
get
just
and get an item. I'm sorry, what? Yeah.
Yeah, because I only knew that was a deal with individual items that you got from crates. I didn't realize you could upgrade crates as well.
Those have
Yes.
you might have said this. Those have to be ranked matches. This all
No.
comes into play, right? Because I play casual, and I don't earn any crates.
So
I
you
feel
don't
like
play
it's
enough
very
casual,
slow,
man.
I guess I'm a casual.
That's a frustrating part is not knowing when or how you get them. Like you want to link it to like a good game or like a good performance, but
Usually I put
completely
like
by chance.
2 hours into Rocket League and I'll get at least 1 crate.
Yeah.
And that's always my benchmark when I'm playing like at home. Is like I'll play until I get a crate. And it's usually, it feels like within the same amount of time. Sometimes I'll get 2. Like I'll get 1 right away and it's like, well, that was only 2 minutes. I'm going to keep playing.
Yeah, and that being said, though, the trading and the idea of trading back
Right.
with items is not a pretty system.
It's not, yeah.
You have told me that like you are unable to do certain things, or, like
It's the upgrade thing that you were just talking about, trading
Yeah.
in items. So I have like
of the same type.
of the same grade.
Yeah.
It's like, take 5 of these same type, same item category, and you can exchange them. Well, I've got 8 items that qualify, but then the game like lets me put those in the bucket, and then it goes, oh, one of those items belongs to a series that doesn't allow upgrades. And it's like, then why did you let me put it in there? And which one is it? I don't know. Either way, that could improve. But
Right. And actually, now I think about it, to top that on is, when they first implemented that system, there were just 2 types of crates. But now
There's a lot, and they're exclusive.
Now you're diluting
Right.
the chance of getting 5 of the said crate, which is.
But Rocket League also does the other things that we're discussing. Either, I think right. Like you can pay money outright for specific cars.
Yeah.
Okay. Cars are cosmetics. They don't make a huge difference. I think there's like minute differences in how they handle. But Psyonix also releases a lot of free content, and they have. This game has been out for over 2 years now, and we are continually getting like new modes of play. Which for Rocket League, that can make a big difference. Like that, is it Drop Shot? Is that the name of the one?
Yeah.
We don't play that often, but that is really fun. Like when we
Yeah.
do play that, that's really cool. And some people, that might be their favorite mode in the game. They do keep adding a lot. So I think Rocket League is a very interesting like thing that has a slice of every tactic that we're discussing, which is strange.
And that's what I think we all like to think now. I think most people like who are familiar with what used to be the case with like things like Battlefield 4, right? Is when you're locking these maps and you're paired with a friend who has those maps and you don't, and you can't progress with them into the next match. Like that's a problem. Rocket League, I mean, Titanfall 2 is an example of that. Like,
Yeah, I was gonna say Titanfall 2 has done stuff pretty well, really well.
Yeah,
well,
really
it's been all free map updates and modes. And was Monarch? Do you have to pay for Monarch? No. You
Nope.
could use in-game stuff for Monarch, the new Titan that released 3 months ago, I think, at this point. But if you did want to get new skins, it's not crates. It's pay $5. It won't be an in-game currency. It'll say pay $4.99 USD or whatever for this Titan. You know what you're getting the entire time. If you do want to splurge and get a new skin for, so your pilot or your Titan will have a cool camouflage or whatever, you know what you're getting.
Yeah, it's all cosmetic, and it's very straightforward, which is nice. It's just like here's a bundle for like $20 and get all the cool new like skins for a weapon.
And it'll
like,
list every single thing that you're getting in it.
Yeah, exactly. And if you don't want the bundle, then you know what? I just I use one. That's what I do a couple times, actually many times, because I love this game so much. But that's the thing is, I am so I will happily purchase these cosmetics, because as we said earlier, like I love this game. I still love this game. It's just, I feel like I'm helping that studio to a degree. Like,
And it's
Well, now
like
you're gonna
born
be
out
helping
of,
EA.
Yeah.
It's born out
Great.
of passion for the game rather than like feeling like the exchange rate for time to money is too steep. And I
Or
don't
that
want
the
it.
game is holding anything back from you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not paying money to make. You're not paying real world money to hopefully get that skin of that Titan that you're shooting at because you
Right,
want it. You are
right.
paying money to definitely have it the next match you go in with Scorch ready to
Scorch.
Scorch. Yeah, and it does remind me of, again, Rainbow Six. None of the actual, there's no gambling aspects. The only time you open something that you don't know what's going to be inside, you can't spend real money on it. It's in-game stuff that you're
Yeah.
or it's just winning matches that you're going to unlock that just by happenstance, or you can spend renown if you have like 300,000 saved up if you play that game regularly. And games like Titanfall 2 and Rainbow Six are rewarding players that play regularly. Like so many games are trying to do games as service, and I wish they would look at titles like these more often. Because you look at, and everybody's mentioning Team Fortress 2 was the first one to have kind of spark loot crates and whatnot. They had that random weekly item drop that went up to a time cap and everything that gave you items. And there was no guarantee you would ever get anything you wanted. But then you look at something like Path of Exile. I don't know if you guys played this too much. It's the dungeon crawler, kind of like Diablo-esque game, but they've been adding quests. They've been adding just in general new things to do throughout. I forgot when it came out now, of like 4 years.
2014,
Yeah,
15?
like almost 4 years ago now, and it's a good game. Right? It's more if people who were kind of lamenting Diablo 3 as maybe too casual for people who like Diablo 2, kind of Path of Exile and Torchlight 2, but mainly Path of Exile I think was the more mainstream game that kind of captured a lot of the aspects that they wanted in Diablo 3 and didn't get maybe. But it's they have a new update they just announced recently, and there's just whole new areas, kind of like Diablo 3 did. But I was talking to Eric Tay the other day, and he was watching, I think, a streamer doing Diablo 3. But the Kanai's Cube and everything was probably the last big update. But most of them have just been smaller new areas and challenges for adventure mode if you want to do that, or just kind of quality of life things. But Path of Exile is also great. If you play that, you probably know that they've been supporting this game really well since launch.
This looks great.
Yeah, it's really good. It's a huge game. If you want to get into it now, it's
Looks
worth doing.
exactly
But
like Diablo 2.
yeah, it's fantastic. It's good. When I was on editorial, I used to do the preview stuff for the updates.
We went on editorial no more, boy.
I know. What about GTA 5? This one's kind of a weird one.
Yeah.
GTA Online. People
I-
spend like $100
Yeah.
on this new vehicle.
Played a lot of that online, but definitely dropped off. And it's not necessarily an example of a great post-release system, but it's interesting because I think some things are pretty neat. Like highlights of like how they have done stuff, I think, is just a super strong community that they've like listened to and have taken advantage of, as far as like, hey, like this weekend it's like double XP, like consistently like rewarding people who really do like that online,
Who keep returning time
keep
after
returning.
time.
But I'm pretty sure this is the case, is that what you started hearing with like some of the last updates they've had is like just the cost of some of these cars, and so, oh my god. And then that's part of it too, is the cost of like there was one update where they added like that rocket glider motorcycle,
Yeah, that was
and
dope.
explosive sniper rifle rounds.
Dope.
And it was this, but these are expensive because this is the dollar currency, and you can get that shark card and get those things quicker. But they're $2 to $3 million in game. The conversion, I can't remember what
How
it
long?
is.
Yeah, how long would like $3 million in game dollars take you to get?
Oh, really? I mean, when I was playing, it was tough. It would take you a while. You would have to like play only. There's the grinding methods of like, well, this mission like rewards you with like the most money. So I remember like playing this and just consistently playing that said mission over and over again because it was the highest reward. But you're still putting a lot of time.
And there are no gambling aspects, right? You know what you're getting when you pay real money in GTA, or are you saying the opposite? I haven't seen it in a long time.
You literally buy the
Like the dirt bike with jets on it.
you don't buy the actual item per se. You just you put money into the currency. So like you
and then spending
real world money into dollars is what it is, and then
or you just earn in-game money.
or you earn
normally.
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, people I saw complaints about this where it was like this really cool old '80s Mustang looking thing is like more expensive than the first update of like a really awesome one of the first like high end cars. Like if you compare the two, like how can I mean inflation is I guess what it is over time, right? Like they push those vehicles and those items like farther and farther away, I think. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think there are things to look at GTA Online that are pretty great.
Kelly,
Again, like the community, I think is really strong.
Kelly, you were mentioning Pokemon also does like regular free gifts, semi-regular.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up something like in a little bit of a different vein from like shooters and stuff like that, just because like there isn't content you can pay for necessarily outside of just the game that you get, but they give regular free gifts of items and rare Pokemon. And so one of the good things for this is like for competitive players, like that's the community that needs to continue to have activity. Like obviously you can play Pokemon by yourself, but for the competitive community to thrive, people need to continue to play, and there's a circuit all year where people enter and stuff like that. And so last year, or I guess it was this year, they gave out a shiny Tapu Koko, which is a legendary Pokemon that I caught, and I didn't. There's like things you can do like soft resetting to get the best version of that Pokemon possible, and it's a really popular Pokemon in the competitive scene, and I had a really garbage one, and they gave out a competitively viable like super perfect version for people, and it was almost like here, like we know that not a lot of you are caught up, like here's a way to catch up and kind of like get back into this, and it was nice.
Weird tangent for me. When I see that, I'm always feeling like, doesn't that devalue the game, like the point of playing it to try to get these things, and devalue maybe the edge of competition that one player has over another?
So I would say that if they were giving out like perfect stat Pokemon that you could breed yourself, but there's only one opportunity in the whole game to catch Tapu Koko, and there's only one. So if you catch it, you have to restart the entire game to get a better one,
right?
Or you have to soft reset for hours and hours to get the one that you want while you're at that battle. So for like in my case,
it sounds like a convenience it's doing for you.
It's a convenience thing, right?
Right, but then doesn't everyone just roll into battle with that same free Tapu Koko that Nintendo gave you?
No, because this is like it's like a standard build, and it's hard to really explain without getting too in the weeds. But basically, there's 6 stats, and you're only guaranteed to have 3 perfect stats for a gift Pokemon like that, for a gift legendary Pokemon. And so if
screw you still restart the game if you want to be a competitor.
Yeah, so you get that gift, and you can still, like, I know people who, when that gift was in circulation, did a bunch of soft resetting to get the best one possible, and even then people were like, this is like the closest to perfect I'll get. So there's still an element of like, if you want to get a super super perfect one, you still have to put in that work.
Yeah.
But it's a way to get people caught up, and it was right at the end of the competitive circuit for the year.
Gotcha.
So I don't know. I brought up Pokemon because it's a little bit of a different case of like, you can't pay money for a Pokemon like that. There's no way to be like, oh, I'll pay $5 and all of my Pokemon eggs will hatch faster, and then breeding will be faster or whatever. But I do think that they do a good job of continuing to support players by being like, hey, you might not have this item, or you might not have this rare Pokemon. Here's this free gift for this period of time. And it still, like, because it's there's a luck element, and you also have to know how to use that Pokemon in battle. I don't think it gives you too much of an edge. Like, you can't like go into battle with that Pokemon not knowing what you're doing and win. So I think they do a good job of keeping that fair.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So all in all, I mean, between Rainbow Six Siege, Witcher 3, Titanfall 2, Path of Exile, I don't think we have time, but I want to talk more about Warframe. Apparently people are saying that game is really, really good now, that they've like been continually updating it throughout. When did that release? 3 years ago?
2013, I think.
Yeah.
Longer than that, damn. That apparently, like, that game's fantastic now. If I want to check it out, because people have been mentioning it, saying the team has been consistently updating it. If you want to,
yeah, it's like the most popular game no one's talking about.
yeah. So hopefully I'll check that out. Maybe over break. I need something to dive into. But Rainbow Six Siege has also been taking my attention. But anyway, and then Pokemon GTA 5 Online. With more games trying to do the games of service thing, you hope that they're going to look to the good examples in the future rather than continue stuff that will piss people off.
You know what's an interesting example I just thought of was actually Wolfenstein 2. What are those things that keep rolling out that are like the short stories?
Yeah, they're
Those
like
must be
extra.
DLC, right?
Yeah.
It's not really DLC. You don't pay for it though. They just like roll those out for free.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because it's basically the ones that there's like 3 right now,
Yeah.
right? They're one of each of the 3 gameplay styles without spoiling it that you have access to kind of halfway through the game. So it's kind of like, it's nice because it seems like they don't have to put too much like mechanical effort into it. It's just an opportunity to explore a different story and maybe a gameplay style that you didn't like. If you didn't do stealth, like, oh, you can do the stealth girls route. I think it's interesting. It's kind of
Yeah.
like capitalizing on, hey, maybe because you make this choice halfway through the game, you might not, if you're not the kind of person who wants to replay, but you want to experience what like that one crazy like stilts thing is.
Yeah, and
Here's a thing.
And it's like a pretty cool way of, I think so many single player games have that like quick drop off, right? Or once you finish it, you are gone. But like here's something that's like, it's almost like they're trying to fill in the gap for whatever inevitable, I would imagine, actual Wolfenstein 2 DLC there will be.
Yeah.
Opposed to like just like dropping off and like going silent and like here's our DLC, like
Right.
like you're, because there's even like a counter in the main menu where it's
Yeah.
like, all right, I'll give it a shot. I'll put in like 30 minutes, 20 minutes, like every couple weeks.
And the cool thing about that is like they put so much effort into building this world that it's almost, for me, sometimes when I play a single player game like that, I feel kind of bad about leaving, or I put off finishing it because I'm like, oh, I'm not ready to leave the world even though the story has concluded. And so with that, it's kind of like, oh, this is a chance to maybe explore the world we've built for, in a more condensed, kind of like spin-off style.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
sweet.
Like I said, hopefully other games will look to these better examples as we go forward.